What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zone Inc. and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing United Alliance.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
Into the show. It is Friday, April 24th, 2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Basso with the Brandon Birch Network, sitting in for the wonderful Mr. Aaron Montgomery. Second time this week. Terry, am I going to get a regular spot on the show, or what's going on?
That's the way it happens. Next thing as Eric mentioned before we went on the air, next thing you know, you've been here for 10 years.
Listen, I love you guys, but no thank you. So, but I am excited to be here. I really am. Thanks. I hope Aaron's having a wonderful show, and we can't wait to talk more about the Sustainable Merch Summit that we presented right here on this very platform on Wednesday. So today we get to talk about some of those major takeaways and a whole lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to dig more into the summit with you. Aaron, by the way, is at the DAX show in the Super Gamut booth, number 122, and he's also doing a couple of seminars today. So if you are in the Dayton, Ohio area, make sure you stop by and say hello. You can register for that show at DAX, D-A-X, show, singular, DAXshow.com. Jay, no secret sauce today, but...
What? I came prepared. I got recipes for tacos.
Different sauce. Okay. But hey, make sure go to our YouTube channel and see all the I'm not even sure how many now, a couple hundred, maybe at least 100 secret sauce recordings there by us and a variety of other people. And we are, by the way, going to be having a lot of the regulators participating in secret sauces in the coming months. So if you're interested in doing that, reach out to us. And we do have the news, Jay. Teresa Hagel from ASI. She also, like you, pulling double duty today.
Hello. How cool is that? By the way, can I pause and just deviate? You know I'm going to do this, right?
Sure, absolutely.
I got to give you guys some credit. That secret sauce idea is awesome. Where was that? I love that idea. That's so cool.
You know, every year at the end of the year, Aaron, Eric, and myself get together, and it's around Christmas time, and we'll chat about what works.
Break out the blue cheese, break out the ranch.
Exactly.
Yep, throw it back.
But and we talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what are some ideas for next year. And a couple of years ago, the secret sauce idea came up, and love it. Just like we used to do the news ourselves, but we thought, wait a minute, there are people who watch our show regularly that do the news, and let's do that. So here we are. Teresa from ASI is ready to do the news. Jay, you ready to hear it?
I'm fired up. Let's go.
All right. Let's go, Eric.
Hi, everyone. This is Teresa Hagel, Executive Editor of Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI, and I've got some important headlines to share with you today. First up, ASI Research just released the results of the latest Distributor Quarterly Sales Survey, which shows declining confidence across the promotional products industry, with Q1 promo sales up just 1.8% year over year in North America. The war in Iran and economic uncertainty weighed heavily on industry confidence. However, top-performing distributors credited vertical diversification, investment in people and AI, and strong client relationships as key factors in their continued sales growth. Next up, we have our annual Big Markets Report, where we look at 5 cornerstone industries and how they're recalibrating in 2026, bringing new challenges and opportunities to leverage promo growth. This year, we focused on construction, nonprofits, healthcare, real estate, and finance. And as a bonus, we forecast a few emerging markets that forward-thinking promo distributors can focus on now to secure long-term, high-growth promotional opportunities. It's definitely a really interesting report with tons of data and some great analysis for you guys to kind of sink your teeth into. So I recommend giving a look to it. But finally, I wanted to highlight a feature story that I wrote recently about the importance of a well-curated physical showroom in the digital age. So it may seem counterintuitive with everything being online. However, the distributors and decorators that I spoke with say that showrooms remain a powerful sales tool, helping to build trust, elevate perception, and close deals through hands-on experience. The well-designed spaces inspire creativity and shift conversations from transactional to strategic, showcasing higher-end products and decoration techniques that clients can actually see and feel. Despite the rise of e-commerce, showrooms are still playing a key role in the industry, complementing digital by creating belief, deeper engagement, and stronger client relationships. Thanks so much for listening.
All right, thanks, Teresa. Man, I love those surveys and
Yeah.
all the
great.
things that they do over at ASI. I mean, it's just such useful information. It's just
You know, they
incredible.
have such a great editorial team and they really dig in and do the deep dives, do the research and pull out that data. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, God, we're so lucky, really, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, Teresa played a huge role for us at in our Sustainable Merch Summit because of that, because of her connection in the data, and ASI so has, all the resources.
And then joining together in the summit with PPAI
I know.
to do some things as well, and that's joining together with the competition.
Listen, we were pretty proud of that. Now, they did that before we got together. I had heard that they were working together on that carbon study and the impact study together.
Right.
And I thought that was so epic. That was talk about a step up. You can tell the importance of a theme and a topic when two I mean, they're not rivals, but
No.
anyway, we won't get into that. We'll share that for another show. But the fact that they came together for this and they have wonderful data and they did such a great job. Both Liz and Teresa were awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a couple of the regulators. Chuck says, "Good morning, guys." Doug, hi everyone from Los Angeles. Ramona says, "Good morning, guys, and special welcome to you, Jay." And
Thanks,
she
Ramona.
says, "I love the flamingo in the background." Do you have a flamingo, or was it Teresa?
It was Teresa. Yeah.
Okay, I have little pictures.
Yeah,
I thought it was a dinosaur.
I've got a skateboard. I've got merch. I've got a taco. Can you see the taco right there? I can't get it right. Over there. Anyway.
Well, hey Jay, we can't do this without having a dad joke.
I was so dreading this. I mean, looking forward to this moment, Terry.
You actually said, "Do I have to participate?"
You weren't supposed to share that with everybody.
It's just us.
It's
us.
just a couple of guys, two regular guys and one substitute regular guy.
All right. Well, hey, you ready to hear a dad joke?
Yeah, I am so ready. I couldn't sleep last night.
All right, let's go do that. So Jay, if Farmer A sells potatoes and Farmer B sells corn, what does Farmer C sell?
I don't know, Terry. What does Farmer C sell?
Obviously, medicine. For our podcast listeners, Farmer C, pharmacy.
That was so painful.
Wow.
I
Eric,
mean,
you're gonna
awesome.
hurt yourself. That was the biggest head shake ever.
I
You
feel
guys
like
can't
you
see him,
guys,
but,
you guys set me up. That's what this was all about, right?
All right. Before we dive in, Jay, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. If you would like to be on the show, we'd love for the regulators to participate in our intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or you can also email us at info@tworegularguys.com with any show ideas, either for yourself or any ideas you have that you'd like to see us present. if you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate if you could share the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions, especially anybody who tuned in on Wednesday. We would love to hear your impressions of that event. So please do that. So Jay, you ready to dive in?
Let's go, man. The pool is calling. Let's go.
All right. So, Jay, for any of the listeners who didn't tune in on Wednesday, tell us what the Sustainable Merch Summit was all about.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thank you to Eric behind the scenes, crushing it. Aaron, who helped set us up, and of course you. And we really have looked to this relationship with the Two Regular Guys as a key component to the success of the Sustainable Merch Summit. So Terry, this was the second, we can now say officially the second annual Sustainable Merch Summit. But you know, this really was different, and if you didn't attend, that's okay. We have the recording and we'll talk about that later, but we wanted to bring out the conversation. So this wasn't like a webinar, right? You and I used to do a ton of webinars together, and I think those still play an important role, but we wanted to be the anti-webinar. We wanted this to be as much of a real working conversation as possible. So in order to have a great conversation, you can't do that on a stage. And now you and I have both been on stages as educators and trainers. We've attended a lot of trade shows where there are, you know, featured speakers, really good speakers, and there's nothing wrong with those stages. But the best conversations don't really happen on a stage. That's kind of a one-way street. You know, you sit and listen and they kind of go blah, blah, blah. So we wanted to turn that 180 degrees and said, what if we could get everybody together at a table? Like the best conversations happen at a table, right? A kitchen table, you know, your poolside table. Anyway, we thought if we get distributors and decorators and printers and suppliers and the media, and we got these pros together and we could actually talk about what's happening as it relates to sustainability. And because about 3 years ago, Jeff Solomon wandered into this space of why it matters. And we started to produce some videos with interviews about why sustainability matters or why a specific topic matters. But the topics kept coming back to, you know, saving water, saving the planet, you know, making merch better, making a t-shirt and apparel better, you know, better practices, better, all of the things that circle around sustainability. And so that brought us to this point, and we just felt like we have an opportunity to share what's really working and put the spotlight on brands that are really doing the work. And so no disrespect again to those ballrooms or those stages. We kind of do make fun of the fact that our event is the anti-Newport Beach ballroom resort, you know, spend $5,000 to go to something for people to tell you the same things you could have gotten online. So, and better for us is that we don't have to travel everywhere. We can pull together 300 or 400 people, and we can actually have, like I said, a better conversation about what's working. So I don't know if I answered your question about what's it all about, but in my mind, that's kind of what's it all about.
Yeah, and not only bringing hundreds of people together to watch, but you know, a dozen or so experts, and I love panels. I've talked about it on this show before, where you can have 3 or 4 experts and a moderator just tossing questions to them, and the panels, Jay, were fabulous. I was just great, you know, and this is a big subject, sustainability, and so many people don't know where to start with it. And these panels, they talked about here's some things you can do right now today, and just getting started. So
thank you. Yes,
yeah.
I appreciate that nerdiness of the panels. I also find myself in that same lane with you, and we're really choosy. You know, we had a lot of people who wanted to be advertisers and then thought they would buy their way into one of our panels, and we appreciate that. We need the funding, let's be real, but the truth was, more important than that was we need the right voices, and we need people that are in the place of I'm doing this, not this is what you should do, Terry. So it really worked out well. So thank you. I agree. The panel's made, and it's quick. It's a fast pace. I mean, I know we'd like to dive in deeper. We get that feedback a lot, like we wish we could hear more from so-and-so, or wish we could have talked more about that topic. The good news is, as we'll talk later, is we're prepared to have those conversations as the follow-up.
Yeah, and anybody who wasn't there, you look at it and say, 2 hours. And by the way, 2 hours and 2 minutes. We were pretty dead.
We were right on time, right? I know. I was pretty proud of us for that too. That was
Me too. I'm like, I cannot believe that we are so dead on time. But in 2 hours went by in a snap. Because there were 3 panels, there were videos, there were interviews, there were ASI surveys and just all kinds of it just moved and moved and moved. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure that you do. Jay, hit on a couple of the big takeaways for us.
Oh yeah, okay. So format wise, you're right. We're moving fast. We're covering a lot of ground. But big takeaways. The big takeaway for me is probably a little different because I've got 4 months of work to get to that point. And so I'm navigating a lot of stuff, but I think I did go through all of the chat already. And I did go through and do some analysis from the registration, because we do get a lot of great data we only ask a few questions, but we ask, what topics do you really want to hear? If here's the menu board of what we're going to talk about these 5 things. Which one is your favorite or most likely to really want to dive in on? So we get a lot of good data and we share that data. Everyone's asking the same thing, Terry. This was the big takeaway for me. Everyone is looking for proof, the evidence, okay? And it starts with the buyer. And whether we want to believe this or not, there is still a very large part of the population that is committed to this. And I know at times I've been guilty of looking at it like, okay, tree hugger, whatever, but you know what? I was wrong. And I can say that now because I recognize some of the flaws in the entire supply chain. Not just what we're doing in our own personal shops, but all the way down the line from like what Eric Henry says, from dirt to the shirt.
Right.
We have to kind of think about that. And it's not just shirts and apparel. It's also the branded merch and the other things. So the big takeaway was proof, because the buyers are looking for that proof. They don't want more claims. They don't want more marketing spin. They don't need more fancy badges and logos and buzzwords. What they really want to do, and what the conversations kept coming back to, was transparency, real data, real situations where people can learn together, and actually that trust goes up, and then the connections are made. So sustainability's grown up a little bit. First it was eco-friendly, which is basically like green adjacent, like
right.
And here's what's cool. We want this theme to be also front and center. We know there's never going to be an endpoint to this, and we also know that nobody's perfect with this. It is a messy in the middle kind of project. But I think together, when we have the real conversations and the trust can come out of that, and the transparency is placed in front of you, then a buyer can say, okay, Terry, I get it. And I'm in for this ride. And thank you for presenting that data to me, because now we can all start to hold each other accountable and be in pursuit of something that's better. So I don't know, that was really what was on my mind. I wanted to share this morning.
Something also that Eric Henry said was, in talking about proof, because his company, they use cotton that's grown in North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah. And 700 miles away from their plant, their facility.
Right, instead of 10,000. But he said, "Oh, do you want proof that this cotton is grown in North Carolina? Scan the QR code in every one of our shirts, and it will take you right back to the farmer who grew the cotton." And I thought, what a cool thing. When you talk about proof, and my takeaway, if you're
I was going to say, please, I want to hear from you and any of the regulators, like what hit your hot button? What was one of your takeaways?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was how many people hit on it's a mindset. Eric said sustainability is a journey. Will Kulik, am I saying his name correctly? when we made sustainability a part of our business strategy, then it was forefront in everybody's mind, even the employees' minds. And
That's so smart. I gotta say, I had a chance to interview him before too, to just kind of check in. They're one of the few screen printers that have the SGP certification, which is not easy to get. And he said it took him a while internally to get that mindset. Like they had to talk to everybody. They said, this is why we're doing this. This is why this matters. And Terry, they're a huge printer. I mean, they do a ton of big bands that you would recognize.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, when I did a secret sauce last year about cleanliness is next to godliness, about a clean shop produces quality products, you don't put it on a sign and it happens. It's a mindset, and it builds over months and years, and it's the same with this. And one more, Julie Johnson said, when it's a part of your DNA, when sustainability is a part of your DNA. And this is the kind of thing that our listeners can say, we are going to go in this direction. And then the decisions that you make along the way are going to reflect in that. And someday you find out that, hey, you know what? We're now a leader in this end of the industry. So
Yeah, great point. Great point.
Well,
Julie's content was really, I mean, we were so lucky. I mean, literally, I was surrounded when I opened up my panel, and I know these people. These are like, in many cases, these are friends, right? Like we have decade-long relationships. I think of Ryan Moore. I think of Kate Alaves. I think, these are folks that I've known for a long time, and they're willing to share because of the greater good. It's like your secret sauce. It's like they don't want to keep it a secret. They want other people, even their competitors. They know competitors are listening, are watching. And by the way, Ryan Moore sitting next to Julie Johnson, Almade and Stanley Stella on the same panel, both sponsors of our event. And we like to call them partners because they truly do partner up with us. But it's for the greater good. And I see this, so grateful for that. I just got to tell them, I can't stop gushing about how grateful I am. So sorry. It's just...
and I'm only saying this because I know that Ryan Moore would laugh if he heard me say it. But while he was on the panel, I kept saying, pick up a guitar, do it. Sustainability. I wrote a song about it. And anybody who knows Ryan, or if you've ever seen Ryan speak, more often than not, all of a sudden a guitar appears and he's singing a song on stage.
Well, maybe we could do a little punk rock version of a Sustainable Merch Summit jingle. Maybe that's in the works.
Being in this industry for a long time, I actually knew Ryan when he was in a band and he was selling ink out of his garage. So it's,
and they've done such a great
20+ years
job.
ago.
I mean, what a great story. Almade is such an important story. More people need to really dig in on the roots of that. And they're getting ready. I'm going to throw it out into the universe again. This is the third year that I've wanted to go down to Honduras. They used to go to Haiti, and now they go to Honduras to see literally where everything starts, from the workers to the factory, the sewers, all the cotton, the spinning, the whole thing, how yarn is made, how it's amazing. And so the fact that they got together with, a dozen or so screen printers that wanted to make a difference, that's the genesis. 12 people getting together and saying, we should be printing on something that's better. We've got to do something. And fast forward, 10 years, I think it's their 10th year, maybe 11th. Forgive me for not knowing exactly. Yeah, amazing.
Well, the company I used to work for, Jones and Mitchell Sportswear, Mike Mitchell is a part of that. Our great friend of the show, Mel Lay, a big part of that. So it's just a tremendous thing, and you can tell when you talk to any of these guys about it, just how excited they get, and it's something you guys should all look into. Almade Apparel.
Yeah, and it's also something to take a lesson that a small shop can make a difference. That's really a piece of the puzzle for me, was that when I say a small shop, I mean, 4 or 5 employees, under $500,000 in sales annually, and that mattered. That was enough to put your stake in the ground and say, well, we can do something, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, Mel started as a garage printer. In fact, on Instagram, pictures of all the equipment in the crates saying, go on this journey with me. And see where she ended up. It's a tremendous story, tremendous person. So Jay, anything that the regulators can take away and use from the conversations that were had?
Mwahahaha. Let me give you the spicy version, Terry.
Okay.
Since we're just talking to the regulators, let's be honest. That not that I wouldn't be honest, but let's take the honest take. The honest take is this: our industry isn't the problem. It's confusion. The enemy is confusion. It's not that I'm not sustainable enough or that I'm not doing enough. It's that it's confusing. There are so many. This was one of the reasons we wanted to start to have this summit, was we realized you have the apparel decoration world with their needs and their certifications. Then you have the promo world with their needs and different certifications. Then you have the print world, ink on paper, packaging. They have different needs with their certifications. And right now there's totally a blending of these three core, we're like dysfunctional cousins at the family reunion. It's like, I think I know that guy. It's like, that's your cousin, like, so it gets confusing. And the work that people are trying to do is noble and it's great. But what happens is one group is confused by what the other group is doing. And so we tried to have a platform and a table, set the table so that we could be more transparent. So right now, if you're a regulator and you're navigating this maze of labels and claims and you got to say it this way, Terry, and someone else is like, no, not that way. That's not the rule. Well, here's the reality. Just start where you are. Talk to a friend, watch the summit, and then progress will become easier if you just tell the truth. Just literally say, I don't know yet. I'm confused still. And the good news is that great brands like Allmade, like Stanley Stella, like Gold Star, like Lane 7, and some of the other partners we had, they've been doing the work. So we can lean in a little bit with them, because when these great brands, do great work, we want to put the spotlight on it. And that's what I'm kind of nervous about. So this is my spicy take for the regulators is when good brands go quiet out of fear, sometimes the bad ones, not because they're bad, but they get louder. And that's backwards to me. We want to put the spotlight on everybody that's doing great work. And so for the regulators that are listening, your takeaway is you can start and make a difference by just doing something small today. And I'm not talking about just recycling your garbage or the lights in your building. And those are all important things to consider. Don't get me wrong. But think about what you sell. And the greatest sustainable merch is the thing that people keep. And this is the other takeaway, and the common thread was that it's the merch that really matters. It's the if you wouldn't go buy it, you probably wouldn't want to get it either, right? Like if you go to a conference and someone gives you another tote bag, you're like, I don't need this. I mean, the utility of what I need in this moment, I might need it for like 4 hours, but then what, right? So I think we just have to rethink and get our processes right and be more transparent and be willing to say, I don't know, let me go find out.
I didn't go back and look ahead of time about this, but Cassie Green from Apparelist was on the she's on the show once a month at least, but she was on talking about the number of decorated garments that end up in landfills, and it was just some huge percentage. And Jay, you and I don't get that, because throw away a T-shirt.
What? What?
Mine are yeah, exactly. My favorite T-shirt for our podcast listeners, Jay's wearing a shirt that says, "This is my favorite T-shirt." But anyway, it's Jay's correct that if you're producing something that somebody loves, it's not going to end up in the landfill, and
Exactly.
that's garments, that's promotional products, things like that as well. But Jay, you mentioned earlier about eco-friendly and some of the terminology. Talk a little bit about how sustainability plays in today's marketing.
Well, how much time do we have? We better check in with Eric Campbell. But let's see if I can be concise. So I do want to say this to build on what we just talked about. the main goal of what we're doing is to try to make a connection. Whether that's a connection with a little league baseball team, whether that's a connection as a fan at an event, or whether that's a connection from a business to a prospect to help close a deal. The point is to make an emotional connection. And so if the bridge to that is a well-placed piece of branded merchandise, whether that be apparel or packaging or an item, a tangible haptic, piece of promotional, advertising medium, all of those are like related. And if that's the bridge to help make that emotion happen, it's a magnifier, it's a multiplier. And what I mean by that is it could be both magnified and multiplied in a bad way, or it could be magnified and multiplied in a really good, impactful way. And so sustainability used to be that kind of nice add-on piece, like check the box. Yep, got it. Now it's really a trust signal. At least that's how I think. I think the shift has been made, and I think that this really only is going to continue to work when we take it for, we get serious about it, we have the real proof, and we can back up that proof. So the brands that are winning right now, and by the way, this is funny. I got to tell the story. Last year we had on Joseph Summer from Whitestone, and he talked about a real case study for his very business, that they lost a 7-figure deal because they didn't have their, I hate this cliche, but they didn't have their ducks in a row as it related to the sustainability side. They weren't able to give the documentation that their buyer was asking for. And so, I mean, Terry, 7 figures, right? Like, kind of big business.
Yeah.
Someone said, oh, that's great for someone who's doing 7 figures, kind of a thing. And I was like, the lesson is the same. I understand that there are buyers that don't care about this, right? But the proof was that he came back and said, oh, it wasn't just that. I just thought you wanted that one because it was the biggest one. And we've heard since then from lots of folks that whether it's a couple $100,000 or whether it's $50,000 or whether it's $500,000, whatever the size of the deal, proof over promises isn't just a tagline. Because if you can say to someone, this is where your shirt was made, it was made by people who are actually taken care of and paid well, it's good for the planet, we're careful about the chemicals we use, we're careful about the amount of water we use, we're careful about all of this stuff that people care about, and we've produced a premium product, right, that actually lasts longer and people want. Like, it's more than just checking off a box. It's literally this idea of becoming who we say we are. And I think that that's why it's a shift really away from the marketing spin and back into the reality of, sustainability is a more holistic concept now than it ever was.
Yeah, this product was created in a sustainable way. What does that mean?
Yeah, right. What does that mean? It's eco-friendly. It's friendly.
Did you produce half as much trash in your your dumpster?
And you shipped it back and forth, 5 times. It went from Bangladesh to India, back to Brazil, and then Brazil to Mexico for final finishing, and then it was imported into the U.S. It lasted about 20 minutes at a trade show, and then it's pitched. Yeah. It's like, no, that was a fail on epic proportions. Well, and I'm not just talking about apparel, by the way.
Right, and speaking of All Made, one of the things that they talk about is the hundreds of gallons of water that are saved and created in their garments. And you don't think about that kind of thing. But for folks out there selling T-shirts, they're telling the story for us.
Yes,
we can just repeat the story then and to our buyers. And, like it or not, more and more and more customers want to hear that story, and it's true in all parts of the industry.
That's exactly
I want to know who you are. I want to know your story. I want to know what you're doing that fits in line with my values. And so,
and the values of, when you say my values, like the buyer's values, like it's a connection all the way through from the buyer to you and I as the seller to those blank wholesale manufacturers. And you're right. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I want to shine the light on that because the Stanley Stellas of the world and the Gold Stars and the Lane Sevens and the All Maids, and I'm only saying those because those are the folks that really stepped up for us. There are lots of others doing wonderful work. They have that story. And they can prove it. They can show you the evidence. They can show you the impact studies. They can show you the reports. And so, yes, whether you're on the Allmade website and you can see the impact calculator and you can use that calculator to determine if you use product A, you're going to use this much water. If you use an Allmade product, you're going to save this much water. Like little things like that are huge.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a requirement to bring that proof piece. And these wonderful suppliers and these wonderful wholesale blank providers really are leaning into that in a big way.
Well, and Jay, you mentioned the sponsors. I think even though they were all mentioned during the event, let's get a rundown of who sponsored this event for us.
Well, for sure, at the top of the list, we've mentioned them already, but Stanley Stella, they have done an amazing job. They have deep roots in this from about 14, 15 years ago. They are based originally out of Europe. They're a Belgian company, so. They are now also have a great facility here in the U.S. They are amazing partners. They were our presenting partner. They saw what we were doing, and I explained to them the idea of a grassroots, ground up. Think of a couple hundred hippie tree huggers that are still printing, and care and want to do better, don't have all the answers, but these are, like I wanted them to know that this was not another stage and another ballroom, that this was kind of people doing the work. And so they really got the vision, and I'm so grateful for them. So they were our presenting partner, but we also had Printing United Alliance, who, as you know, has a wonderful show every year, the Printing United show, which will be in Vegas this September. And they wanted to be more visible because of the education component side of this. We had, the panels were really education, but we wrapped it in a way that was, fun and fast and, was able to be insightful. So Printing United Alliance stepped up as our education partner. Storm Creek, who is also another fabulous apparel manufacturer. They have wonderful line of outerwear, by the way. If you don't know who Storm Creek is, go check them out. They are all in. They are truly leaders in this space for all things sustainability, the proof, the trust, the impact reports, the studies, the data. But they stepped up because they wanted to do something fun this year, which was merch that made the cut. We were trying to bring in more of a community component and then have little video clips of the community of saying, here's the merch that made the cut. This is the merch I keep, in other words. And so that was cool because they not only got that, they get it, but they had several clients send me some videos. We used one of them because it was really good. And then we had other people that sent it. Did you see any of the merch that made the cut videos that stand out? Like I was dying with Jeff Solomon's when he opened up his drawer.
when Jeff said, his wife said, the rule, one in, one out. It struck home for me.
Yeah. Well, that was the merch that made the cut. We had people talk about product. Like I remember Lauren Esser had said, hey, if you want merch that makes the cut, get these scissors. She has like 2 pair of magnetic scissors that are branded, that are really high-end, nice scissors that stick to the fridge. And she says she uses them all the time. It's like the most useful branded merchandise she's ever had.
Yeah.
She's kept them for years. So yeah, that kind of stuff. So merch that made the cut was one of those things that Storm Creek stepped up and helped, was our partner. And we had others. We had obviously the media partners. So shout out to 2 Regular Guys, shout out to the Apparel List, shout out to ASI. It was wonderful. And we also had Allmade step up, we had Gold Star step up, and we had Lane 7 step up. So those were our key supporting sponsors. So thank you for letting me give them some love and tell them that they are the spirit of this event. They make it possible for us to do all this.
So Jay, where can our listeners go back and see this entire 2-hour event?
Well, everything is available on demand now. It's still free, so you can go over to the Brandon Merch Network website, brandonmerchnetwork.com. Eric, looked like you flashed also the link in there, so that's cool. So we'll be sure to go visit that website. It's up there now. You don't have to register. You can just click the link and go watch it. So that's really the easiest thing to do, and it'll be available. We'll keep it up all year, quite honestly, because last time I think we had more than 400 people watch after the fact. So if you missed it live, this is the good part. You can skip straight to the proof. You don't have to listen to any dad jokes. You can, just jump right in.
There are no dad jokes
No
given.
dad jokes
during the
given. But
presentation.
there is, I do need to say this. There's about a 10-minute, because we started recording about 10 minutes beforehand. So you are going to get about 10 minutes of slides before we get into it. So you can skip ahead if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, just don't be like, wait, this isn't slow, or this isn't fun and fast, and this is like a slideshow, right? So
I feel like I'm wading through the previews at the theater.
exactly right. Like Terry and Jay said this was fast paced and fun, and here I am sitting here listening to this, elevator music with a. Anyway, it's going to be great. If you missed it live, you didn't miss anything, please go check it out. On demand, free, no registration required. BrandedMerchNetwork.com.
Well, I was that guy yesterday. As I messaged you, Kim and I went to the matinee of the Michael movie, and by the way, it was really, really good. You should see it. Obviously.
Well, first of all, with full transparency, you have to share the rest of the story, which was my text back to you. Like, I really want to have a snarky comment back. I'm just going to leave it at the fact that you're going to a matinee.
No. Well, hey,
That's okay. That's fine.
it was fun.
You're basically retired, right, Terry? Is that
Yeah,
what we're-
basically. I'm like, why don't we just go to the early show?
Yeah. What are we waiting for? Why do we have to wait till 5? We could go
Hey,
now.
we weren't the only ones there. There were 8, 10, 12 other people in a 400-seat IMAX.
I'm not going to ask you what the medium age was, but we'll just say there were not a bunch of teenagers there.
There was no popcorn throwing or loud chatter.
Oh God, it's so good.
Well, so Jay, I can't let you leave without telling us what's next for you. What's next for Branded Merch Network?
Oh God, I mean, big dreams, right? We would love the Branded Merch Network to become. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I can't think of a better, the Netflix of print, promo, and apparel. We are collectors of great content. We are collectors of great conversations. We want to have a table that's never ending, and there are seats at the table, and that you can have a conversation. So that's my dream for the Branded Merch Network. We'll see where that goes. But this was just the beginning, Terry. So this was year 2. We're definitely going to continue to do this. We are committed to this idea. Our partners are committed to this idea. And we, as you know, we're also, looking for other core topics. And one of them is the automation and the AI side, and how that's also confusing. So wherever there's deep confusion in all 3 lanes, print, promo, and apparel, we're trying to bring that conversation together so that we can learn from people actually doing the work. That's no disrespect to any of the media partners, outlets, publications, or associations. I think they're all necessary. I just think sometimes they become a little self-serving, and what we want to do is kind of cut through that clutter. So this fall we'll have, again, a repeat of the Automate and Elevate event, which the 2 Regular Guys was a part of last year as well. We hope that continues in our relationship. And so, yeah, these conversations like the Why It Matters show, or the Let's Talk About It. I brought back the Let's Talk About It, and so that's what I wanted to share with the regulators today, was that each of those panelists is going to be a guest on either one of those 2 shows to go deeper on their topic for 20 to 30 minutes. So we know that the panels sometimes feel like you're just scratching the surface and you don't get to go deeper. So that's why they'll either be a guest of Jeff's on Why It Matters or a guest of mine on Let's Talk About It. And we'll go a little deeper and keep that conversation moving forward. And we did just launch a new show. So we have the Collab Connection. The Collab Connection is a really cool show I get to do. It's a video podcast similar to this with Lauren Esser. And Lauren is my co-host. And we break down, collabs, why they work, why they don't work, how they apply to apparel and promo and print. And so it's a really fun show to see. Like when you see, these major, huge retail brands doing these crazy cool collabs, we like to talk about that. And so really what we're doing is we're just trying to help bring some trust and eliminate some noise. And so that's what I think is next for the Branded Merch Network.
All right. Well, so tell our listeners how they can reach out to you and to Branded Merch Network.
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Most people know, join me on LinkedIn or follow me on Instagram personally. But also follow all of the Branded Merch Network socials. Everything's listed under Branded Merch Network. Please visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter is really our gateway to you personally. We have about 20,000 people that are currently subscribed to our newsletter. We try to just do 2 or 3 newsletters a month at most. And we really do work hard to make them less advertising and more something that can, help your business, something to grow, something to know. I didn't know that. So if you could, we would appreciate that if you give us follows, but also give us a subscription. And what's coming around the corner, I'm excited to tell you, is we've kind of been locked into Vimeo for quite a while. We're going to break out of Vimeo, and in the next month, we're going to launch our new YouTube channel. So we'll have all of this content available on YouTube probably in the next 30 days.
Fantastic. The Automate show last year was so eye-opening because, your first thought about automation is robots are doing the work for me. And
Right.
there were so many things that were presented that yeah, that's right. I guess I'm already doing some automation, that sort of thing. So definitely looking forward to that, and we definitely would want to be a part of that. So Jay, hang around for a couple of minutes, and let me
got it.
tell everybody what we at Two Regular Guys have coming up. Eric, you can join Eric today for the Take Up episode 250, 3D Foam Basics. So if you're curious about the way 3D foam designs are constructed, we're going to cover the foundational understanding you need for classic 3D foam execution. On this episode, we'll discuss the first step needed to create classic satin stitch 3D foam designs, including digitizing and the necessary objects and structures that support this process. Jump in at 2:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Eastern to get your 101 foam education. Head over to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up at the top and access this and all the episodes. Aaron, the next Business Builder Accelerator starts on June 8th. You can get more details at osg.link/builder. Also sign up for a no-charge clarity call right now. If you're feeling stuck, scattered, or second-guessing everything, this is for you. The biggest wins Aaron is hearing are I finally feel clear, I'm more confident in my pricing, which is a biggie. That's what this is all about, real clarity. Also coming up this week, Small Business Saturdays at liveosg.com. Stepping back to look at the psychology of success through the fundamental formula with what actually drives growth, not just in theory, but in real life. Aaron is sharing some of the biggest insights for his latest accelerator group with real business owners. Head over to liveosg.com and subscribe on YouTube. Aaron will be at the Dax Dayton Show right now, today and tomorrow. Come see Aaron at the Dax Show in booth 122 if you're in the Dayton area. He's teaching 2 classes and facilitating one more today, and it's already passed. The Myth of Everyone is my customer. Immediately after that, at noon, Bye Bye Burnout, and then he's going to be doing DTF 101 from file to finished print, and that's going to be a panel discussion. Rob Super, Sean Stewart. We're going to walk through the real-life, real-world DTF workflow from artwork and software to film, ink, color, and application. That's going to be Saturday at 8:30 a.m. And if you still haven't registered for the DAX show, you can go to daxshow.com. Use the code SUPERROB2026 for a $30 education credit. And really quick for me, my complete screen printed business course. Upcoming dates with Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago are June 6th through 7th, August 22nd and 23rd, November 7th through 8th. And with that, Jay, we've come to the close of another show. Thank you, Jay, for jumping into that coach seat twice in 1 week.
I feel like the luckiest guy. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the regulators who listen, and thank you to you and Eric and Aaron for letting me sit in this wonderful seat. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate you. And we also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, keeping us on the air, pushing those buttons, turning those wheels.
Yeah, and so by the way, stay tuned. Next week, Aaron will be sharing a couple of interviews and some of the details from the recent Corneat Connections event that I wish I went to, but it was out in Hollywood, Florida. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Jay Bassell, sitting in for Aaron Montgomery.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.